Hello, relentless family. Oh, it's so great to be back again. Yes, 2 weeks can sometimes feel like forever, but they are going by fast. So I love it that we get to meet every other Thursday and get into some relentless behavior. You know me by now. I am your host, Kenyatta, and I am the counselor and founder of Relentless Counseling. And we are here to reach our best self, learning how to walk in purpose, answer the calling over our life, and more importantly, we are here to love ourselves unconditionally. The good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And every other Thursday, we get this opportunity to come together and align ourselves on one accord to help reach our best self and also to help others, to help spread love and positivity and to know that we are not alone. And I know every other Thursday I get to connect with you guys, and I know that I am not alone. It feels good. So I'm excited to be back one other week. So this is our last month in season 2, guys. Can you believe it? Next month, towards the end of next month, we will be starting season 3. I can't believe it. I'm so blessed and so honored to be able to share this space with you for 2 seasons. So we've done this for 2 years straight. And look how far we've come. We're on a podcast. We're going back to doing videos. We have been seen across the globe in so many different countries. Shout out to just a few to name. Shout out to Canada, to Italy, Germany. Y'all are listening consistently. Thank you so much for tuning in to Relentless Thursday podcast. And I am so blessed and honored to be able to connect with you every other Thursday. And I hope that we can start becoming more interactive through social media, through the different platforms that we are on, because we are now on YouTube. So if you haven't checked us out or subscribe, please go to our YouTube page under Relentless Counseling and you will see the videos there as well. So we are excited to be here, ready for season 3, which is a blink away, but we have a lot of things to be grateful for. And a lot of times we're grateful for all the great things, good things that happen, the blessings, the material things that has manifested itself from our prayers, from our dreams, from the visions that we had that are coming into fruition, not just from 2 weeks ago prayers, but months ago, maybe years ago. And maybe you're getting answers that weren't even your prayers or for your vision. Maybe it's the vision of your family. Maybe it's the vision and prayers of your friends connecting with you and pushing and striving and speaking your name in closed doors where you're not around, and they are helping these doors open. Of course, we know God is the one that's opening these doors, but I just love how God puts himself in places of other people that we're connected to. That's why I love the saying, what I touch, let you be a blessing. Let everything I touch be a blessing unto God, because God is everywhere. And that's why we have to be mindful of how we treat people, how we treat ourselves, because we are all interconnected in so many different ways. So today, what we are talking about is the complexity of our journey, of our life journey, the complexity of life. And one thing that I have recognized on this journey is that life, we identify as complicated. We identify that life is hard, life is unfair. But when you really look at it, life in itself is not complicated. Life in itself is not hard. Life is beautiful. Life is full of transitions. Life is full of evolution. Life is full of beauty. And what do we know about beauty? Beauty comes in different shapes, different forms, just in so many different ways. And when we think about beauty, just natural physical beauty, beauty is complex. And so life is not complicated, it's complex. That means there's a lot of dynamics that go into what makes us a human being, what makes us women, what makes us children, what makes us men, what makes us whatever label that we have on ourselves. It's complex. And we put so much power into the negativity, into the drama and pain, because we think it's complicated. it doesn't have to be complicated, because the complication comes, one, from our ego that gets caught in our throat and it just spills out because we feel we have no control over it, or we feel like we can't surrender to life and what life is bringing us, to the lessons that we learn, surrender to God and where he's leading us. Because I don't know about you, no matter what spiritual walk that you have, Judaism, Christianity, Muslim, whatever it is that you follow in the faith that you walk, it is difficult when we think about just our physical being, and then connecting our spiritual being and walking that walk, being aligned to it, being disciplined to our spirituality. It is hard, but it's complex, not complicated. And so trying to manage and align those two, it is hard to deal with, to know, okay, God, where are you taking me? And knowing when to surrender it all, when to release that control. And when we have discipline in that area, that helps that complexity feel more at ease. And you feel more aligned. It feels more smooth. And we releasing that ego, releasing all that control that we think we have to have over every single aspect of our lives. Let me take you there. Lives of other people, of other things that aren't even in our control. And we really assess all the things that we try to have control over. 90% of that is things are people that we can't control. And we expect people to treat the way we do. We expect people to have the same expectations we have, but they're not. And it's okay that they don't. This is where boundaries come in, of course, but it's not complicated. It's just we're full of different complexities, different dynamics. And we talked about several episodes before about one, meeting people where they are, and that people see life from their perspective. Their perspective is from their experiences that they have, and that's how they define life and what that looks like. So when they're looking from that lens, whether that's a trauma lens, whether that is different mentalities or different experiences that they come from, they're coming from their truth, and it may not always align and match with yours. And that's okay, because they're seeing things from the season that they're in, and you seeing things from your season. It's not complicated. It's just complex. There's just a lot of dynamics in our lives that allows us to see things differently. We do things differently because we're making choices. And sometimes we make choices that we have to just slap ourselves about. And then other times we make choices that just not only is best for ourselves, best for our family, best for our loved ones, best for our friends, colleagues, and in those areas. But then sometimes we make decisions and choices that is going to be best for our future, even when right now in this moment, we have to make that sacrifice. And I have been on this saying this whole week, and I know it's not me. I know God kind of put this in my mouth, that when we look at sacrifices that we're making, because like I said, it's complex. We look at it as complicated. So we have to make these decisions, and these decisions that we make, many of them, we have to have sacrifices. But when we are aligned to our higher power, when we are aligned to our best self, when we are loving ourselves unconditionally, then those things that we're doing to get to our best self is not a sacrifice. It is an investment. And what I love about the investment that God has shown on my life is that he sent his son. He did not sacrifice his son. He invested his son for me, to save me, because I am made in his image, that he sees something great in me, that he loves me unconditionally, relentlessly, tirelessly. Oh, I can't even say that word, tirelessly. And he invested his son in my life because he saw that I am worthy, even with all my complexity, the different dynamics of me, and what the world sees will say, stamp, nope, reject, you're not worthy. But he has seen me worthy. So how can I say that I'm complicated, or how can I say life is complicated? No, I just have so many different layers to me, because I am intertwined with my physical body, my mental body, and my spiritual body. And all these are entwined together. And sometimes what makes it complicated because we're not aligning these entities that we have within ourselves. This body is just a shell. Your body is just a shell. Your soul is not you. What we're looking at, I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at a representation of you in the physical form. You are actually a spirit that is in this body as a vessel to do God's work, to walk in purpose, to answer his calling, to do what you have been made uniquely to do that no one else on this earth can do but you. We may do things similar. Oh my gosh, guys, I cannot talk today, but I am not editing it. We are being raw and vulnerable, and I will beat myself up a little bit later for this, but we are really working on aligning ourselves, the mind, body, and spirit. And when those are aligned, then life is not complicated. We identify as if we have different dynamics to us, and each dynamic plays a role in our life in different seasons of our life. It is the choices that we make today that will identify and determine of what kind of life we're going to live. Now, are we going to always live a butterfly and rainbow life every single second, every single day of our natural life? No. And I don't think I want to. Like, let's just imagine that real quick. If life was not had any type of complexities, there was nothing that we considered complicated, and everything was just butterflies and rainbows all the time, with what you know now of having some complications, having some challenges, and then if everything all of a sudden, every single day, nonstop, was just happy-go-lucky, and everything was just a Disney movie, or Hallmark, depending on how you look at it, would that be a life worth living? Not saying you got to have drama and pain and all those things, but identifying what pain teaches us, what our different emotions do for us, that they're not considered negative emotions or negative feelings, but it's actually things that are driving us and pushing us towards our purpose. And also it's those things that's help aligning us to God, to our vision, to our dreams, to our family. It helps connect us and align us to where we're going, and it helps get us to our best selves. So I want you to think about that, like reflect on that a little bit, on what will life be like if you didn't experience various emotions, if you didn't experience anger, if you didn't experience sadness or excitement or fear. Will that make you have action to go towards anything? Because anger is not a negative emotion. This might be a whole nother episode in itself, but anger is not a negative emotion. It's a complex emotion, but it's one of the most healthiest emotions we can have when we learn how to respond to it. A lot of times we don't know how to respond to anger, frustration, all these very strong emotions because we are so used all of our life running from these emotions, being taught that these emotions are bad, and we react to them versus respond to them, versus accepting our emotions for what they are. And on the other side of that, because this is not just to be like, oh, let's just talk about frustration, sadness, and all these strong, quote unquote, what we've been taught, negative emotions, but even our happiness, how we even accepted what happiness looks like for us. Are we still banking our happiness on what we expect it to look like, or we are chasing happiness when happiness is here? We don't even know what it feels like, what it looks like, what it means to us, our own definition of happiness, because we're so focused on comparing all these joyful excitement, wonderful success things on what society says. We get so caught up on our phones and looking at social media and seeing, okay, this is what everyone else should be doing. I should be doing that too. That's what happiness means. But what if your happiness means just sitting on your balcony, drinking a glass of wine or sweet tea, and just looking at the horizon and seeing the sunset? What if that's happiness to you? What if happiness is seeing a butterfly cross you and it reminds you of your deceased loved one who loved butterflies, and you recognize that that's them coming back to you just saying, hey? What if that is happening? It's these small things that we look over every single day and we don't recognize that happiness has been with us all along. Joy has been with us all along. But we get so wrapped up in the complications of life that we don't just accept that life is complex. Life has different dynamics. There's different dynamics to you. You're not just a mother, a father. You're not just a husband or a wife. You're not just a friend. You're not just a daughter or a son. You're not just a transgender human being. You are homosexual or heterosexual. You are more than that. You are a combination of things. And this is what I love about therapy. When those who are in therapy or thinking about therapy, what I love about what it does, it helps us understand and accept the different pieces of the puzzle that makes us who we are. My trauma and my past, my pain, it has a purpose. And as I am continuing my journey in different seasons of my life, some seasons I am up here, and then some seasons I'm low because I may be in my wilderness and I may be struggling, but that's part of my complexity. But I also understand that because I'm so complex, that this little piece of pain is a piece of my puzzle that's helped picturing and help putting the pieces together of my best self, that I can't have my best self without that piece. Again, complexity. And complexity can be beautiful because that means we see ourselves in so many different dynamics. And that's what I think God does. And that's why I think he loves us so much, because he sees all of us at once. He sees the full us. And he's like, I see you for you. And I love you with all your flaws. Not despite of your flaws, but because of your flaws, because I created you. And I love that way God sees us. In the same way God sees us, we can see ourselves in that way. The same way God allows us to see ourselves in that way, that we can see others in that way too, even through their mess and their different seasons that they're in. And that's why we can show compassion. We may not always get it and understand it, but like, hey, you're not a bad person. You're not complicated. It's just complex right now. And right now, there may be some things that are out of whack for your friend, for a stranger or a colleague or one of those horrible bosses. But if we see it from God's eye and see it as, right, this person is complex and have different dynamics that make them up, then identify, okay, where do I fit in this? Because I'm only seeing a little piece of this iceberg, not the whole thing. But what can I do to add to this person in a positive way versus take away because, oh, it's too complicated, I can't deal with it? Because these are the choices that we're making. And it goes back to that ego. Sometimes when we're dealing with other people and we see that they're complex and we're only seeing a little part of it, we feel we have to prove something or they have to be just like us. And that ego it's just starting to spit out things that's just not healthy for that other person, but it's bringing toxicity and poisonous into ourselves. And we have to be able to be mindful of that and check that, like, hey, we're complex. There's different dynamics to us. There's different things that we don't see within other people. And there's different things that we don't even see about ourselves that other people see in us. And sometimes we need that check and to recognize that life is what it is. And I got to start accepting the way life is now, because if I accept the way life is now, whether it's good, bad, but if I just accept it what it is, then I can be able to be tangible and be able to move forward to see, okay, what changes do I need to make? If I'm always thinking about the future, like, oh, I don't like this, I might miss out on the lesson or what I need to learn in this season of my life. Now, I'm saying this and it sounds this is so simple and so easy. It's not. It is not. I agree with you. It is not easy. It is complex because there's a lot of moving pieces that's involved with our brain, with our mind, with our body, with our spiritual walk. It's a lot going on with that. And sometimes some of those pieces are hard to put together. Some of those pieces are hard to accept, especially when we all have dealt with trauma. Whether that is trauma with abuse, whether that's trauma with pain, rejection, whatever that trauma is with you. And sometimes we hold on to it and it becomes so poisoned inside of us where it's just tearing up all the different dynamics and different layers of us. And it's causing us not to be aligned. It's causing us to stretch, and not in that good way stretch, but stretch in a way where we are tearing. But God didn't make us to break us in a way where we can't be molded and mended back together. That's why our heart is very strong. That's why our bodies are created to heal itself when we allow it to do that. But we have to make sure that we're surrendering all this toxicity, all these things that are messing up our dynamics of who we are, where that way we can have a clear mind. And that takes time. That's why it's a journey. And that's why this journey is not a sprint. It really is a marathon. It's a beautiful journey to be on when we are on that relentless journey of finding our best self, finding out who we are, what we're capable of, and whose we are. What I love about my spiritual relationship is that every single day I am learning something new about God. I am continuing to connect with him stronger and stronger. And the more that I connect with him and build a deeper relationship with him, where I'm being vulnerable with him, I'm being open with him, I'm trusting him, that I also learn different ways about myself, and that I am reaching through the crevices of these layers. And it's like, wow, I didn't know that was down there. I didn't know I had that in me. I didn't think I could do that because I was so focused on my life being complicated that I forgot I just got different layers that may need to be cleaned off, that may need to be reorganized or revisited at times. And that's what this relentless journey is about. Is that it's not that life is not complex. It's just, it doesn't have to be complicated because of the choices that I'm making, the investments that I'm making within myself and within my higher power, the investments I'm making within my family that could be breaking generational curses. All those things matter. That's why it's just complex. Changing that mindset, changing that perception of what we see as complex and what we see as complicated. I watched my favorite movie last night. And when I say this is my favorite movie, and it's beyond my favorite, I can watch it every day, all day. I love it. And Denzel Washington is the main character. And the name of the movie is Equalizer. Specifically, I watched Equalizer 2. Equalizer 1 is my favorite movie, and Equalizer 2 is even more my favorite movie. But in the movie, and for those who haven't seen it, I promise I'm not about to ruin the movie for you and tell you all, but if you have not seen it, please go out and watch it. It's very, very good. But in the movie, he talks about that people have two choices when it comes to, there's two kinds of pain in the world. Excuse me, I'm about to mess up the whole movie, right? There's two types of pain in the world. One is pain that hurts, and one that is pain that, and the other is pain that transcends our change. It changes us. And when we think about pain, like, okay, I don't want pain that hurt, and I don't want pain that changes. But sometimes we are walking in pain, and these two types of pain are happening at the same time. But it's our perception of what we allow this pain to do for us. We can allow this pain to continue to sit on us like an elephant and outweigh us. And then it could change us in ways where we can't recognize ourselves. And we see that every day in our society through murders, through just crime in general, that these people are not bad, but these people have gone through pain and they don't know how to deal with that pain. And that pain has manifested itself. It has changed them in ways that they're like, hey, I got to do this because I'm in survival mode. And when I'm in survival mode, sometimes it's the survival of the fittest. And sometimes it's I'll take you out before you take me out. And as much as we like, oh, that is so bad, but it's not really a bad or a good thing. It's not really a right or a wrong. Remember, we look at things in our own perception, our own life, and our own experiences, and we got to do what's best for us. And in these moments with some people, that is what's the best that they could see at that moment. That's why it's so important to show love. That's why it's so important to share a kind word, because you never know that your kind word, you taking the time and investing in someone else, sacrificing, going back to that word, but remember I'm using investment, you investing in someone else by like, you know what, let me see this from out of my own lens and meet this person where they are. You'd be surprised that could change a life that was in a trajectory of spiraling down or going a way that life was going to get the best of them, that life was going to take them out because of their past. and you change that. You can change that track. That's how pain can change you. But it also, our support and who we have in our lives is very important. That's why it's really good to align with the right people and let go of the people that don't serve you or no longer is serving you in that season, because we don't want no extra problems than what we already have, right? Life is already complex. Life already has a lot of challenges that come its way. We want to work smart, not hard. And that's the same thing. I'm not using that saying as far as work as an employment or occupation, but in life. I don't want my life to be hard. I want to make it as smooth, not necessarily easy, but I want it to be smart. That I am making choices not based on my past, not based off an emotion, but choices that are aligning me to my best self, choices that promote loving myself unconditionally, choices that I know that I am making a difference, not just for myself, but my world around me and who I'm connected to. And those are things that it's just different dynamics. It's complex, and just understanding and accepting and loving the complexity of who we are and who others are. So that is the message today. I hope that this helps at least one person out there, but please remember to share, subscribe, give us a rating, let us know what you want to hear next, and share this with your family, friends, strangers, coworkers. Let's continue to make Relentless Thursday podcast global. Let's continue to get the word out there, and let's transform lives, because life is complex. Life is not complicated. Life is full of choices. Let's make the choices that we are investing in ourselves, investing in our loved ones, investing in our purpose, and investing in God and his calling on our life. So have a great rest of your week. We'll be back in 2 weeks. So bye for now.